compare yourself to other people. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about two very important things and two dangers actually. Two dangers to our mental well-being and to our happiness in life. And those two things that are dangers to our state of happiness, to us feeling rooted in life, is comparing ourselves to other people and also a lack of perspective in our life. And, you know, if we take the idea of comparing yourself, right? Comparing yourself to other people, how does it start? It actually starts sometimes even, you know, as children, right? Parents do it to their children. Oh, you know, my toddler's walking, your toddler's not walking yet. Oh, you know, my boy or my girl has started doing this and, you know, knows their numbers and knows them, you know, maths very well and knows how to spell and all of this sort of stuff. The comparison begins. But your child, you know, he's not even speaking yet, right? And this comparison continues. And sometimes, and I think it's perpetuated by society. It's actually the media, certainly social media, you know, the videos and the stories and the things that we tell ourselves. There's all around us this idea of you're not good enough. You're not good enough the way you are. And we find ourselves that we're always comparing ourselves to other people. We're comparing, oh, this person's got this person's driving this car, but, you know, I'm not driving as good a car as that person, or I don't live in as big a house as that person lives. And, you know, it can leave you feeling very, very inadequate. It can leave you feeling very, very insecure. And, you know, you find yourself that you're on this sort of treadmill of trying to keep up. In the UK, we have a saying that says, you know, it's called keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses means trying to always compete and keep up with society or the people around you, your neighbors, you know. It can very well be keeping up with the Patels for the Indian community, because this phenomenon that I'm talking about, they know all too well. You know, comparison, right? Feeling that somebody is better than you. So it's a very dangerous thing, because it doesn't allow us to be happy. It doesn't allow us to feel rooted. It doesn't allow us to feel content in where we are now. And one of the ways in which you can overcome this terrible habit of comparing, right, is to understand that you are unique and that people are unique. Every child is unique, right? Everybody has their own journey, right? If I put up my hand like this, I've got 5 fingers, but none of them are the same. Well, 4 fingers and 1 thumb, but they're not the same. They're part of the same hand, but, you know, and they all have an important role to play, but they're individual. They're all different. And in the same way, when we start to compare people and we start to compare our lives to other people's lives, we very much forget that we are unique, right? That we have had a unique journey to somebody else. You know, your life journey is not the same as my life journey. And your life journey is not the same to the people in your family even. You're all part of the same family, but you will have had a different journey, a different experience. You have a different way of looking at things. So, you know, your circumstances, you know, the family that you're born into, where you're born, you know, your schooling, your level of education, your abilities, your unique skills and talents, because all of us have certain strengths and all of us have certain weaknesses, right? It doesn't mean that you're any better or any less than anybody else. And, you know, this is the problem with comparison. This is the problem with it, because you're trying to compare things that are not the same. right? You're not the same as anybody else. Your life journey is not the same as anybody else. So why are you comparing? And in this video, I want to try and express to you the idea of the importance of just valuing your own unique journey, valuing the fact that you've had a different set of circumstances to somebody else, you think a different way, and just feeling happy with your journey, accepting who you are is a very, very important thing. And that can help you to feel rooted and to feel successful and to feel happy, right? The other very, very big thing and the other very big danger is not a lack of perspective in your life, right? If you think about it, the problems that you face today, or the things that are stressing you out, or the things that are making you feel unhappy, we need perspective on those things, right? Because I pretty much guarantee, compared to somebody else, and I know I spoke about comparison, but in some ways, perspective actually, there's a good way of using comparison as well, right? The negative way of using comparison is when you compare yourself and say, oh, I'm not good enough. But the positive way of using comparison is to say, wow, like at least I have this. At least my situation is not as bad as this. There's a rhyme that's one of my favorite rhymes, and it goes like this. It says, I had the blues because I had no shoes. When upon the street I happened to meet a man who had no feet. Right? You're complaining because you haven't got shoes, but there's somebody else that hasn't got any feet. Okay? So it's all relative. And sometimes we complain about things, and in comparison, our problems and our challenges are jokes, right? In comparison, in that perspective. Because I pretty much guarantee you've got some food in your fridge. You have access to running water, right? A lot of our problems are first world problems, okay? And, if you were to go to somebody in the third world, right, and tell them your problems, they'd probably laugh, because in comparison, they are very, very minuscule. So I think perspective is a very, very important thing. How can you gain perspective? Perspective comes when you count your blessings. When you stop looking at the glass as half empty and start looking at it as half full, and you start to actually count the blessings that you have in your life. And I guarantee you that if you look for the blessings in your life, you'll find many. But we're always looking at the glass as half empty. We're always looking at what we don't have. And we're comparing ourselves to other people thinking they've got more, right? So comparison can be used in a positive or a negative way. Comparison's negative when you actually say, I'm not good enough, and you're finding yourself competing and comparing yourself with other people all the time. But comparison can be very positive and rooting when you actually count your blessings and you think, wow, in comparison to so-and-so person and their situation, I've got lots going on for me, right? So these are the sorts of things these are the sorts of thoughts that can really root you and ground you, especially in the society that we live in today. Because I think that, we're constantly, being bombarded with information and, media and this and that, very much, sort of keeping us in a state of imbalance. No wonder there's so much of an increase in, anxiety, stress, depression, people with a lack of mental well-being, even starting at a younger age now, even in children, in primary school or infant school, cases of, young toddlers feeling anxiety and stress. Why? And part of the reason of that is, this comparison and lack of perspective in terms of counting your blessings. So I hope this video has been giving you food for thought. count your blessings in life. And the exercise that I would say to you is to actually write it down. Write down the things that you're grateful for and look at it every day, the things that you feel grateful and blessed for. So I hope this video has given you perspective, just some thoughts for you. Thank you very much.